LivePerson closed above $1. It's day one on that. We're on breakout watch, folks. Breakout watch this evening on cryptocurrencies. So if you're in the live chat box on my YouTube stream, be sure to put in your cryptocurrency that you are trading. We'll be doing live chat and we'll be saying hi to everybody here in just a second as we kick off our live show. Share on Twitter and everything. Bring your friends. Great to see the chat pumping there. It's going to pop that out so I can see it on my screen here during the show. Should be nice and loud here this evening. Possibly even too loud at times. So I'm relying on the audience to let me know if the sound is distorted. Is it perfect? If it ever gets distorted, folks, let me know because I'm here for perfection. And if you want perfection, you're going to get a lot of that in our show. A lot. Because we called all the prices perfectly. We've seen highs at 114 pennies, 114 cents on this one. Last week we were talking about how it could go up to $137. And we'll be discussing all these things in today's show. I'll just bring up this on the screen so you can see last week's chat here. Is that the full screen? That's more or less the full screen for you. So you can see we were talking about the range and how that could lead to an outsized move, possibly up to the likes of $137 if we got a retracement up to the 414 or the 4236 retracement point. It's a Fibonacci extension. It's complicated, but it's fun, and we're only 1% of the way towards that target. So you're very early. Welcome, very early on this one. Celebrating here today the close above $1 on LivePerson, because we've been trading that. If you're just joining us on the channel for the first time, we were talking about this recently with price targets down here at these lows. It's obviously up 50-60% since then, so we're doing pretty happy, doing pretty well, pretty happy with the results there. What we're talking about structurally on the chart, you can see pretty bad handwriting, has to be said. I think that's supposed to say lower high, but it's very, very badly written. And I was discussing in the past the sort of price structure that you have here with the lower highs and the lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, a sort of equal low that we got. And the low recently was 65 cents and it was 61 before, so it's pretty much a double at bottom, then a big spring up recently. Fantastic. And what a week it's been. What an incredible week it has been. You know that feeling you get when you've been on a roller coaster and your body is being pushed forward and everything is happening at 10x speed, and then you step off the roller coaster and you're walking along afterwards and you're still kind of going at 10x speed, but the world is all slow around you. You're living in the inertia. That is what the last week has been like. The first 6 months of the new presidency in the US has been non-stop, and it feels like the last week or so has been a real change, because this time last week you could be looking at nuclear bombs blowing up the entire world. And here we are, and things have got a bit better. There was some hijinks at Glastonbury, which was interesting to see, political stuff happening in the world, but it's no longer impacting stock prices and all that quite as much. Here's a quick look at SPX, all there, up there, tapping off all-time high line that we have marked in on the chart. We've gone up, we've done a big move up, and we've hit the target that we had. Right, so we wrote this in here weeks and weeks ago when we were looking towards our breakout target, as you can see on the screen there. And that's one of the things that we got when we had our big breakout. So we're also looking at breakouts on cryptocurrency in today's show. We'll be getting over to that soon. Hopefully there's still some setups when we get to the chart. But that's the SPX, that's the background, and that leads us over to have a quick look kind of at Bitcoin and say, how's it been doing? And it's been doing okay. We've had a move down towards 105 grand, right? We spoke about potentials for pullbacks. It's hit off my lines perfectly, which is nice. We all know on the show that I've got the perfect lines, and I always have, and that was not much of a surprise, to be honest, it bouncing up from that area, although it did leave the market surprised, as you can see with the huge rise up that happened. Currently, prices are at 109,000. Got some real detailed chat in the Discord on the premium side today. Great stuff, well worth a read. Check it out if you're interested in trading generally. It's really good stuff. But it's also about this chart, and it's connected to this. Shout out to Minner, who has was pointing this out. This is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Bitcoin dominance is like how much the value of all cryptos is in the price of Bitcoin. So when this falls, but Bitcoin remains at high prices, it means everything else is getting more valuable. Cool. It's a good thing to see. So we've been looking to see if we get a pullback on this one. That's the hourly. Looking at the daily time frame, there was a RSI swing failure. One of the things we're talking about in the premium side this year. And the prices did drop when we pushed below this swing failure area, but they had a bit of resurgence, the Bitcoin dominance. Now it's back down again, looking to see if it can actually get continuation. A break below this area sends altcoins higher if Bitcoin remains high. So all eyes are, of course, on the price of Bitcoin. But looking at other cryptos, like we can look at something like Curve, right? So this is a DeFi coin that looks at all sorts of, and stock traders and LivePerson holders, don't worry, we're getting back to that like soon. Just a second here. But I just wanted to open up a chart and show you that, like, if we're looking at something like this, which is one of the DeFi coins, where if other coins are going to be doing well, then there'll be more throughput on this one, so more demand for this coin. So it is a little bit of a canary analog. You know, it gives us information. This is the 24-hour time frame, but if we jump down to like the 4-hour, we can see it here in action. So will we see a breakout? Will we see a breakout? It's just trying here at this prior high. Now, if prices were to break above this area, and it may not happen during today's show, may not happen at all, we might see a retracement, but we're keen-eyed on it. We're like the prison guards with our big shiny lights zoomed in on these cryptocurrencies as they're challenging their prior highs. See a move up on this, you could be looking at a move from like 53 to 58, right? A 10% move up. Totally possible, could happen. So that's just one example of some of the breakouts that we're on breakout watch for. To celebrate though, to begin with, and to catch in with the chat, here we are. We had some great analysis on LivePerson last week. I'm on mine. Is it not working? The internet here, folks, is going to be better this time. You know, next week it'll be better, right? So don't panic. I'm paying to get better internet here. Why? When it's just a fly-in visit? I don't know. We got to get the good stuff from a quality audience. I want quality product, so that's why. So in today's show, we are looking at some things. First off, there is LPSN. And the great news on this one is it's day one. Closing above $1. Day one. Why is it day one? What does day one mean? In the audience, if you know, let me know. Why is that important? Is that to new traders, right? Obviously, the price of something being above $1 is great, because it's kind of like you can say we're not a penny stock anymore, we're a whole dollar more. Psychologically, that's a big deal. You know it is, because if you ever bought a can of soda for 99 cents and then it price went up to $1, you're like, whoa, that's such a big change, so much bigger than 98 cents to 99 cents. You know, psychologically, big stuff. That's the first big reason. But there's another reason, a technical reason, a foundational market reason, and it relates to day one. So, folks, do you have an answer in the chat? Let me just see if people are getting me the answer. Right? Not seeing the answer just yet. But I'll give the answer because I'm sure someone's typing it in right now. So people watching later will be like, come on, Rocky, get on with it. Tell me the answer. And hit the like button. So the answer is because there is such a thing as a delisting notice that gets served to a company. And it's a warning, right? The NASDAQ in this case are like, hey, your prices are below $1 and we don't like anything on our exchange costing below $1. So either if your stock price will go up above $1 within a certain period of time, or we're delisting you, which is obviously bad news. So the company has a way out of this. What is it? Their stock price has to be above $1 for 10 days. 10 days. What is 10 days? Well, this time next week, when we're chatting, next Wednesday, we're going to ask the question. We're going to ask the question, has it been, that says been, 5 days? There will be 5 days between today and next Wednesday because markets don't trade over weekends. So we're looking to see next week, has it been 5 days? And then the week after that, we're going to ask, has it been 10 days? So here we are on day one, and next week we'll be celebrating day 5, possibly, if the prices close above $1. No guarantees, but that's the thing. That's what we're celebrating today, because today is day 1. That's right. I'll just show you. I'll just show you now so you can see for yourself. This is the daily time frame. Daily. Get rid of all these drawings. Zoom on in. There you have it. 107, right? Currently, post-market trading at 109. Great. That's up over 1%. The things change so rapidly when the price of a stock is so small. I mean, this thing could go up 10 cents, like easy peasy. And that's 10%. 10 cents. Imagine that. That's when Microsoft stock, which is nearly $500, changes by 10 cents. Nobody notices. But this, so it is wild. And this is day 1, as you can see, above $1. And that's important. So by the time we get to next week, Wednesday, we could have had 5 days. And then the Wednesday after that, we could have had 10 days and have escaped the delisting thing for just now. Does it matter? Right, here's the question then. The question that people want to know the answer to. Does this matter or not? Does a delisting notice matter? And the answer to that is yes and no. Yes and no. First off, yes, right? We've seen companies like, right, okay, here's an example company, Mullen Automotive. Mullen Automotive is a real company, exists in the United States, with Americans running it, who are kind of like a little bit questionable. So their stock price dropped below $1. And they did a stock split, which pushed it back up above $1. And then what happened to the stock price? It went down another 99%. And people are thinking when their investment has gone from several dollars down to $1, then down to a cent, that there's no way they could go lower. So the stock split happens and it's $1 again. Boom, down to a cent again. What are they going to do? Well, they then release this technology. They're an electric car company, right? And they release this technology, and they're serious in the sense that they put out PR about it. In their accounts, you've got records of them spending several $1 million to buy this company with this technology. So they're kind of serious about it. It's totally not fraud. No. And what the tech did was a great tech, was that it charged your electric car as you drove it around to more than the amount of electricity it cost to drive it around. So all you had to do was put this in, and it would extend the range of your car by hundreds of miles. Hundreds of miles. So there was a really poor performing electric car in the United States that Chrysler made, and it only went like 97-mile range. And then they were like, yeah, we've partnered with them, and now our cars go 180 miles, probably, because this thing like doubles it, doesn't it? And then, and that was great news for like some Chrysler owning electric vehicle taxi companies that had used like incentivized rates for buying American EVs from American companies that were actually underperforming. Should have got Teslas, like they're also American, but whatever. And and it was all just a big load of nonsense. Now Mullen pushing this and like, yeah, I've bought it. It cost us millions of dollars, but it's brilliant. And a company like that, what's going to happen? Well, the stock price went down to a penny again, and they did another stock split. So imagine you bought it initially for $1 or $10. It goes to $1, goes below, goes to a penny. You've lost 99.99%. Then they do a stock split. You lose another 99.99%. Do another. Oh my god! And it might sound like I'm repeating myself, but it was them that were repeating that story. So these guys, they got the delisting notice, and it kind of forces their hand, right? Now, what we've seen from LivePerson is actually the exact opposite. It wouldn't be bad if they did a stock split necessarily. They've got a very small float. A float is how many shares are out there for you to be able to trade. They only have a relatively small amount. So a company who has less than 100 million shares in existence is quite a small company when you look at the billions of dollars sized companies in America. And what we see is LivePerson is one of those companies. So it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. They're certainly not like Mullen Automotive. However, they haven't done that. They've actually never had this, they've been pushing the price up above $1 by being a decent business, and hanging in there. So we're quite proud of them as a shareholder base for like having managed to do that. We think great, and we want to see them escape the delisting notice. They could get out of it at any time by doing a stock split, for instance, but they're not doing it. So in a sense, does a delisting notice matter? Well, it certainly does matter to a company like Mullen if it's run badly, and you will see it's a shaking the apple tree, and the rotten fruit will fall off. Now, to a well-run company like LivePerson, these days, well-run currently, we're seeing that doesn't matter. They could fix it at any time. And in fact, the fact that they're not doing it is brilliant, because it's like the 300 standing in the pass saying, you're not going to crush us. And we're winning. We're getting the price back above $1 because it's worth more than $1. And that is brilliant. So does a delisting notice matter? Well, it certainly brings attention to a stock, and people will then scrutinize it a bit more, which will put pressure on the price of a stock. If they look at the scrutiny ends up with them saying, well, what products do they have? One of them is a magical electric vehicle battery range extender that is powered by unicorn piss. And then the other is like this great industry-leading, class-leading software, which's got, a real use case and is in a market that's predicted in the next 10 years to go from 14 billion to 140 billion. So it's got a 10x at least, and these are the minimum levels. And it's like, here's like the industry wise, not necessarily the stock. Stock might 20, 30, 40x. That's what we're hoping for. Not financial advisor, not financial advice. Do your own research. And that's the point. This sort of thing forces people to do some research, and it proves out with LivePerson that actually the research is showing you some compelling deep value. With another stock, not necessarily. So we're going to say yes and no. And in terms of LivePerson, it matters and it doesn't matter. Mostly we're on the no side. Not really. Not for something that's got some real backbone to it. Although our backs, of course, are against the wall. That's where the deep value comes in at. That's worth celebrating. And we hope then to see it get 10 days in a row, which is really 2 weeks, above $1. And we will celebrate that as well. If it doesn't happen and we have to start the countdown over again this time next week, we're comfortable because we know the company itself isn't going anywhere. It's got a solid runway, solid product, solid team, and we're fairly confident that they're going to be able to turn this story around. That's the chat over there. How do you think about that in the audience? I hope he's recording this. It's not unwatchable for me, but it seems like a really good show. Fantastic. Well, good news for you and all of the chums in the audience. I am recording this and I'll upload it after. So stick with me, my hearties. We're here to have fun, and it's definitely going to be watchable. And if you're watching this later on that one, hit that like button on it. I need all the likes I can get, folks. I need them all. I need them all. I need them all. I'm a like monster. I like I need likes. If I don't get them, then I shrivel up and die. So if you want to save me, you have to hit that button. You have to. That's the main thing with this stock. We are celebrating it being above $1. Are we looking for higher targets? Let's just revisit the number from last week's show because it's a sort of TLDR. Pardon? I need a goal. Oh yeah, that's right. People, we need a goal. We need a goal. We need a goal. We need a goal. Let's get a goal. So price targets, I was about to do them. In fact, let's get some price targets, but let's do it with a goal. And I'll jump on over and chat a little bit about some other charts that I'm looking at as we wait to see if we can reach our goal. And it is LPSN price targets. This is going to be useful information, folks, and it's got good backing behind it. Really good. House internet. No, the house internet literally doesn't exist. Pardon? The house internet doesn't exist. Getting advice in the background that might be better than the house internet, but the house internet doesn't exist. Okay, folks. The goal is live. Goal is live. See if we can get there. And I'll be running it in the re-upload of this show as well. So if we get there, even in the recorded version, then there will be price targets for LPSN. So bear that in mind. Let's try and do this. Let's try and get to that goal. Let's get to the goal. In the meantime, what we want to take a look at is the others chart. The others chart. This is an index for cryptocurrency. Let's go target, says Nick G. Yeah, Parkside Live people. People are responding. Awesome. This is the others chart. This is the daily chart, so it's showing you the detail about the breakout, but not necessarily enough detail to see if it's happening right now. So we're going to get in a smaller time frame in a second. But we can see the targets from this quite clearly, even to stay within the range and put in a lower high. Let's just draw a trend line, roughly. Oh, this is some fun in the background. Ignore the background colors. What we could be looking at for is a move, for instance, up as high as 250 billion. It's actually where my big diagonal lines, you see the big diagonal lines. It's where they actually line up with that. So that's a move up of solid 10% that we're looking for across these various different cryptos. Could go up towards that target if we get a breakout. And we're looking for that possibly even right now. If you're watching this slightly later, you'll still be looking at these same conditions because you're going to be looking to see if the prices on your crypto can make it past the prior high. Like I said, I've got one example that I'm bringing up here, but if you want to see more, then I want to see those in the comments and we'll discuss them. But look here, for example, here's Curve, CRV, And prices right now live are challenging those past highs, challenging them. And if they makes it above them, then it's almost blue skies all the way up for a 10% move. So this breakout watch. This is, if some people will already be positioned on these trades, perhaps for some other reason. But if they're looking at this right now without a position, then they're thinking to themselves, either it's a trade for the range, so they're looking to short, or it's a breakout trade. And that makes a really interesting dynamic, which I'm going to show you right now, which is fantastic news. Because there ain't nothing like a proper diagram to explain what's happening. So you're looking at one of two things. You're looking to make a trade. And it's going to go one of two ways. Either it's going to be a rejection, that's what we're going to call it, or it's going to get the continuation. And in this case, because we are at the top of a range already, that means that we're either looking for a range trade or a Momo. Or a Momo trade, which is going to be a swing back or a breakout. Now, you should never cross the streams. Never cross the streams, ladies and gents. Never, never. Never cross the streams, but this leads to a particular dynamic, right? So in this case, we have had price dropped down, came back up, and then down, then back up, and then down, then back up again. And you look at this area and say, if price is up there, then you're looking for that breakout. Or if price goes down, you're looking for a breakout. That says breakout. Otherwise, you're looking to trade the range here, right? Range, trade, swing, that sort of thing, right? Now, this is the interesting thing, because what people do wrong is where we get successful. So what do most people do wrong? What do most people do wrong? Let's go back over here and remind you, they don't separate the streams. They don't separate this. They go for a mixture. They conflate these two things. So what noobs do, if they do both at once, noob, let's call him a noob. It's dumb money. It's the dumb money. And we want that dumb money to exist, to conflate the two things together. So they try and do both. So what ends up happening is you get a big build-up in here of stop orders and a big build-up in here of liquidations as they get wrecked. Okay, so stops and liquidations. Right, that's the two things that you get, right? And that pushes markets fast and far. So if we look in at this in the past, on the way down here, for example, in this area here, you'd have had a lot of stops. Actually, we'll just move this up a bit. to there. That's where the stops were. And then in this area here, you had a lot of liquidations. I can't type the whole word, it's too long. So you had a lot of liquidations in there. So I'll just show you that on the chart. Stops and then liquidations, and then boom, the prices moved down to like the next area where there was able to be another range build up because there was backwards and forwards trading. But there was a stops in there. When that got bust, it pushed down, then liquidations that pushed it down more. That type of thing. Basic kind of chat. You could argue that it's just all stops, or you could argue that it's all other things, put whatever story you want on it. But that actually is a generally accepted function of markets. And it happens mostly because you get people who are trying to do the things wrong, trying to do things wrong, mixing it all up. So what we want to do is sit on breakout watch and look to see if we get one story or the other. And when we get confirmation that there's one story or the other, then we will be able to take a trade with lower risk. Because it's better than to get 80% of a move with very little risk than it is to take a lot of risk to get a bigger chunk of a move. So prices are here, and if they go up here, they'll go all the way up to a new area. And people like to think then that you need to get in here to then take the prices the whole way up to sell here or somewhere up there. That's what you need to do. But in actual fact, trading in this zone, if you are doing breakout trading only, is lower risk. And trading up to this point, if you're trading within the range, is lower risk. And as a result, you can do multiples of those trades without getting washed out because your risk is lower. And that means over time, you're making money, even if your hit rate is lower, but actually it'll be higher as a result. And even if you're winning trades, losing trades, ratios, all that stuff, right? So that's the way that works, and that's why we're on breakout watch. Breakout watch, breakout watch. Now, have we hit our goal, 15 out of 15? Yes, we have, and that means that we can take a look at some of these price targets. What did we have in terms of the goal, though? People said Day One Legends from AV80, that's cool. Nick G contributing, L. Baker Matthews also being a part of this. Chimpy Yang, L. Baker Matthews really, actually, to tell you what, doing the heavy lifting. Sunny Sun taking part as well, Dream Trades, and as executive, John Biscuits, Matt Johnston, Nick G and XD. Thank you for being awesome, folks, and making it fun to do this, right? So we're going to then do some of the reminders to start off with. Pardon? Brilliant, and you Boogie as well did it through Streamlabs. Arigato. So last week, what did we talk about? Well, we talked about some amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. But one of the biggest things that we talked about was, of course, the prices, the price ranges, the targets that we could be looking at, the major points on the chart. Some of them are right here. Let's take a quick review of around about 97 cents, 97.51. Let's take a review of that price point, see how it played out. We'll remind ourselves about the lower end of where we're happy chappies, but we don't need to focus on that very much at all. And we'll instead look towards where the next target could be, as already identified in last week's show. So let's take a look at where the next target could be, given that now we seem to be above this first one from last week's chat. And it's been a great week, hasn't it? It's been a great week. If I just show you in micro color, technicolor, why it's been a great week. Price attempted to break this $1 zone, and it did. It got up there. It actually closed that first day at $1. So there was a day one last week. But as you can see, when I bring up the chart here for you, as you can see, the prices were unable to maintain the dollar and had to retrace back down a little bitty. That's totally okay. You could see it was rejected on its first pass. And that makes a lot of sense because if you think about it, right in here at the dollar, there'll have been a lot of people out there who are thinking about like that delisting notice, the psychological importance of a dollar, and they'll be thinking to themselves, that's the place for them to sell, right? Like, it's understandable because they're not looking at more detail for all their targets like we are right now. We actually had a target of $1.11, so it was a whole 10%, 11% better. Prices actually did go there. They went there after hours on that day. So you can see why there would be a benefit to having technical analysis price targets. This is just the regular, this is extended hours. Right, cool. I'm going to put it on regular hours to clean this up a bit so you can see the actual daily closes. Sorry, so this story makes more sense. There's the actual daily closes there. So we pushed up towards the dollar, didn't quite manage to properly make it. And then we're back down. And then up again. Which means we've tested it, given the sell side an opportunity to really hammer it home if they wanted to. There was a gap left on the charts which was filled. So it established that breakout was one that had real buying power behind it because people were saying the prices broke out. There was a gap left on the chart. Do we need to see the prices going back to fill this gap? What happens if the bears get the prices there? Will everyone capitulate? Will everyone just sell? Are they going to panic? What happens? And the prices went there. It was a test because those questions got answered. The answer was bulls bought the prices. Up it went, and it made what's known as a hammer candle on the charts, right? It's a hammer. Why? Because it looks like a hammer. It's not a very good one in terms of it's more of a big mallet. But the point being that the wick at the bottom shows the bulls rejecting it. The prices went down, the bulls bought it back up. That was the basic idea there. Then you had this tiny little doji candle at the bottom of it with another big wick, which is kind of like, the bears are selling it again. And it was unable to push lower though. So that hesitancy kind of signaled to us that maybe we see push up higher. And we did indeed see that. It would have been simple risk management, of course, at this point to be sort of from a risk management point of view, but from a hodling point of view, we're definitely looking and seeing that this kind of established itself above $1, and we're doing that. We're kind of doing that now. The 97 cents area, though, you can see remained incredibly important. And I'll just jump down to a 1 hour time frame so you can see how it came up to 97 cents and then back down. Came up to 97 cents, 99 cents, back down. And if we were to then look at where the lows started coming in at, 97 cents, it's buying it at 97 cents. So there's a rise up. It tested past it, got pushed down. We found resistance there a couple of times, pushed past it, found support there a couple of times, and pushed on. What does that do? It confirms our analysis from last week was absolutely spot on. 97 cents, really, really important level. That's great. So then the next target, 138. Where does it exist in terms of in relation to past prices? Let's just put that into context right now so you can see where the next target could be at. And I want this to be just simply right now price targets to the top side. Price targets. We're looking for price targets to the top side. There are price targets to the downside. There are. They're in every situation on every chart you can look at it that way. But I like to say to people a phrase that I learned in Jesse Livermore's Reminiscences of a Stock Operator. It's actually by Lefebvre, and the main character didn't use the name Jesse Livermore. But experienced traders out there know that. I'm just making it accessible to noobs. In that book, which is considered a Bible for traders and investors, So much so that every single employee that Paul Tudor Jones hires has to read that book in their first week on the job, even if they've already read it before. That much. He puts a copy of it on their desk. He calls it the Bible. Now, he's a good trader, and he does that for good reason. And in that book, Jesse Livermore had a colleague. Jesse was a fantastic trader. He was really, really exceptional. And he became known as what was his nickname? The plunger? Yeah, he was the plunger. He even had a nickname. He cornered the market in cotton several times. When you corner the market, you own all the supply. You can just charge whatever you like. Cornering the market back in the days that Jesse Livermore existed, which was the same days as J.P. Morgan himself, which is what the big bank is named after, and Edward Dow, David Dow, James Dow, Mr. Dow. His friend was like Edward Jones. I don't know. Anyway, you know the Dow, the big the index for the American industrial companies, top companies in America. You know that? That, of course, was named after him, contemporaries of Jesse Livermore. But he was a trader, and he was well known amongst all these people. And he had a colleague who was teaching him when he was starting out. Well, when he started out, he was a kid. And he would climb up on the blackboard where they would write the prices, and he would wipe them off and write in the new prices as they changed using a foxtail to dust the blackboard. This is when he was a kid. He left home when he was about 12. His mum recognised that the wee fella was going to be crap at working the family farm. He just wasn't for that. But he was a bit of a Poindexter. She knew this early on. She says, "Jesse, don't tell your dad. But I'm taking you into town, and I'm going to drop you off with $12 in your pocket as a young teenager, and you're going to fend for yourself and go out into the world and avoid having to do the plough in the fields this summer. What do you want to do? Plough the fields or do that?" And he jumped at the chance. He got a job in what was known as a bucket shop. It was a way for traders back in the 1910s to be able to trade. You didn't have, eToro and IBKR and Coinbase back then. You had bucket shops. You would go in there and it'd be like a bookies or a gambling den and a bar mixed together with a big blackboard on the wall. They'd be getting in ticker tape prices, printing out this thin ribbon of a piece of paper with the prices of stocks written on it. And as they changed with the big orders that were coming in, they would read out the prices and tell them to the kid on the board, who'd wipe it off with a foxtail and write the new price on. And this was Jesse. Now, he didn't have much money, and he saved up what he could here and there, and he went in on a venture with a friend, another kid who worked there at the time, and says, "Let's pool our money together and try and buy a stock and see how we can do." They did, and then they sold it for a profit, and they were able to turn a little bit of money into a little bit more money, which for them at the time was a lot of money. Now you have got one kid who then wants to go out and buy a bike, right? Be a kid, live the life that they've been wiping chalk off with a foxtail off a blackboard, all that hard work, and they took a risk and they get the bike. And then there's Jesse, who wants to go back in and take another trade. It wasn't long until he was no longer wiping off the prices on the board, but instead had got a nickname, the Kid Plunger. The bucket shops at the time recognised him when he walked through the doors. They'd start being like, "Oh gosh, we're going to have to increase our spreads." He'd come in and he'd go full on. He would go all in on all of his bets. He was a young guy. He used to describe the bucket shops as being really helpful to his trading strategy, because whenever things went wrong, they liquidated you. This was kind of in the days before stop losses. So he kept his order sizes relatively small as his next progression to avoid being liquidated entirely, and then made his leverage such that he got his liquidated at the prices in which there was a pivot in the markets. He was trying to use stop losses in the most aggressive way he could. He was a true American, and he pushed this so much and made so much money because he was so accurate at calling the prices, and he got his risk management down to such an extent through practice, hard-earned practice, with a lot more foxtail wiping chalk off the board and having to get started again until he figured out exactly what to do. The bucket shops began calling round each other, and they'd say to each other, "Don't let this guy in the door." This happened to him so much that he had to go to New York and get a job in Wall Street in order to keep trading. So, by hook or by crook, he did it. He found somebody who was willing to take him under his wing, and he gave him a starting stipend in the bank and said, "Go ahead and trade. Here's a telephone, here's the floor, put your orders through, do all your finger magic, and let's see what you can do." This environment was different for Jesse. He was surrounded by people wearing suits who were very familiar with the old game and hadn't actually picked up the kind of ruthless street attitude that Jesse himself had. He would see them making mistakes that they wouldn't even recognize. But of course, he was ill-disciplined and new to the game, and he had a lack of skills. I mean, this guy didn't know what he didn't know, and the other guys could see that. He tried. His manager, and at this point friend, who believed in him, lost money. Lost it all. He was in debt up to his eyeballs. And for someone in 1910, owing around $10,000 was like owing $1 million today. It was awful. What did he do? He was honest about it. He could look at his mistakes in the eyes, and he could take them to the boss. And he says to the boss, "Right, this is the situation. I'm down to my last few $1,000. The boss says, "I still believe in you, mate. You're still going to do well." And he says, "I know, thanks, I appreciate it. But I'm going to take that money that I've got left, and I'm going to go out, and I'm going to go to the bucket shops, and I'm going to come back. I'm going to pay you back all the money I owe you, and we're going to take it from the start again." So what does he do? Well, he goes out, but he can't go back to New York. He can't go back to where he was from originally. See how he goes out into the local ones. Well, it wasn't long until he calls around the other bucket shops and says, "There's this guy coming in here. If you've ever heard of him before?" And lo and behold, the ones from where he was born got in touch with him and says, "Yeah, that's the kid plunger. Don't be letting him in your shop. He'll clear you out." Well, by the time they found this out, it was too late, and Jesse was back in Wall Street with $10,000 as a big roll, ready to go and paying off boss man who'd lent him the money to begin with. But this time he paid more attention to the friends that he was making, colleagues he was making, and learned a couple of lessons. And this is what takes us back to what started me telling you of this little story. Jesse Livermore was willing to learn. It's one of the things that made him the best trader of all time. One of his colleagues was very aware of how what JP Morgan, I think, is kind of falsely being credited with saying. He didn't actually say this, but I think he's the one that gets given the attribution for the quote, where markets can be irrational for longer than you can stay solvent. This idea was something that traders knew, because one of the first tips he got given, and one of the ones he told everybody in his book, which he published at the time, was cutting edge, was that there's nothing new in markets and everything is old as the hills. And he learned then to listen to somebody who was as old as the hills himself, who says, whenever Jesse exclaimed about why prices hadn't dropped yet, they were surely going to. And he wasn't wrong. At some point, prices would fall. He says, "Why haven't they yet?" to one of the older colleagues. The colleague turns around to him and he says, "Well, it's an uptrend. Well, it's a bull trend." You've heard me saying that on my show numerous times. Now, I might be paraphrasing. I might be getting the original phrase wrong. You might have said, "Well, it's a bull market." It doesn't really matter. The answer to it is, and the way that I like to say this myself, is that it is what it is until it is what it isn't. So, in the chat recently that we've been having about this, well, it's an uptrend. And until it isn't, then we're going to assume that that will keep going. We've had this little uptrend for a little while, and we've had a bit of a bigger uptrend. So first off, there's the uptrend that we've had here in this section, this kind of big old circle around. That section there, that was an uptrend. But then if we look out here, we've got my letters that I drew on the chart, and they go a little something like this. Give me a new page, please. They go a little something like this. You have a lower low, then you have a lower high. What should it be?
Celebrate lifting over $1.
Okay.
More higher.
New goal in the chat, folks. Let's get celebrating. Let's get celebrating. And then lower lows are followed by lower highs, and then lower lows, lower highs. And that is what is the definition of a bear trend. Then we had a lower low, and I postulated that there might be an equal low. And after that, we postulated that it might be followed by a high. Now, whether that high would become a lower high or just a high was yet to be seen. Next, we look to see if we would get a higher high and a higher low. Okay, so the H's are just higher. That actually is what we see having happened. So at the low, came in for a lower low. Then we said that it might go in for an equal low and that we might get a high. And what happened was we got the high, came down, came in for an equal low, but that equal low was a wick, pretty much. And it was actually overall a higher low, which is good, really good. Then we had a higher high, which we've just put in there now, which makes this an uptrend. Well, it's an uptrend, which is our justification for looking at our next price target, which is 138-ish, 137, 130, 135. And I think I did actually specify in the chat, in the stuff here. Yeah, I did. I said 135, as you can see at the top here. I was saying that what we're looking at is that 130 to 135 price point. And that is here. It's where the 618 Fibonacci is. We can see there was a cluster of price action around there because it's a significant area, significant level. Can extend this box over to the left. So you can see how in the past it was a significant level multiple times. Even here, as prices drop down, the first time you can see that it was an important level in here as well, even then. So that's a really important level. It's the next big one. It's the next big price target. It is 20 to 30% up, you know, right? So it's huge stuff. And we're looking to see in the meantime if 97 cents can be maintained, 97.51, because we know that that is the target that we beat before. Because resistance, which it was, became support, which we showed in the detail look at it. So that is now support, and it's the next like support area, right? So we're looking to get 138 and hopefully not break down below 97.51 because we are on day one of being above $1. And that is really why it's actually fun to celebrate if we're above $1, right? Because being above $1, as we said, does it really matter, right? Does it really matter? And yeah, you can see the answer to that is not really. It doesn't really matter. But if Lipson can stay above $1 when we know that the next price target is 130 to 135, then you're looking at what? You're looking at a 20 to 30% increase in price as it does the, if breaking the delisting crap, getting that monkey off our back. The rules are 10 days above $1. We're not really looking for it to stay around $1. We're looking to see if we can get up to 130. That's what we're looking for. And then after that, we have other price targets. Smart ones amongst you saw it on the page. We were just looking. People are taking part in the goal. The goal is right now to be able to celebrate Lipson being above $1. And I'm just going to read out some of the names who really want to do that, who want to do that to us, with us. They want to give us that experience. They want to make it so that we can actually celebrate it instead of containing ourselves. There's a way that I'm celebrating this right now, which is actually on your screen right now, but nobody's actually even noticed it so far because you are all so super celebrating yourself. So super celebrating, and I totally agree. That's what you should be doing. But look at this. Because I've got so much love for the community and the fact that this stock that we're having great fun with is above $1, what did I go and do? I put my tie into a full double Windsor knot, which you know is a celebration on the Rocky Outcrop channel. Yes, long-time subscribers know I do this to celebrate with y'all, and you should notice. And I also made it super fat, like a Premier League footballer. And the reason I did that is because we are above $1. It's the Premier League pricing, folks. Being above $1 as a stock puts you into a league which is different to the penny stock league. It's the big boys league. Let's get back to the big boys league, which is why, like a very big boy that plays kickball down at the Premier League in England, I have tied my tie up in the biggest, widest knot that even Pete Hegseth right now would be crawling over himself to get his hands on. This is so incredibly well done. And that's all because of LivePerson. That's true, folks. That's a true story. You might think I'm just making that up. So to celebrate the people who are here with their own big fat double Windsors, let's give Nick G a big double Windsor. Give Luke Spears a double Windsor shout out. Chimpy Yang, you like a well-tied tie. XD, you could be kicking balls in the Premier League. AV80, you might as well be down there kicking footballs as well. Do you want to know an interesting fact? If we make it to this goal as well, I will tell you a very interesting fact about football. A very interesting fact, one that people who don't even like football would want to know, right? It's to do with football. It's to do with kings. It's to do with golf. Yeah, it's to do with golf. It's to do with Scotland. That's right. Football, kings, golf, and Scotland. An interesting fact for people in the audience. I'm going to celebrate Sunny Sun, Bane, Cheshire Cat. Sunny Sun got in there twice. Sunny Sun, you're taking part. Love to see it. Cheshire Cat, I hope you're smiling. Queenie Jeannie, LPSM price is so nice. I gotta donate twice. I love it from Queenie Jeannie. Luke Spears, Queenie Jeannie is a Lipson machine. She is. We're getting there, folks. 14 out of 20. That Premier League tie knot, Death of Banana Fridge, indeed it is. It's a Premier League tie knot. I bet you it's even a thing. Let's just search on Google and see if it tells us about Premier League tie knots. This may not work. Nope, it's not working. It's not working. Even this is the face. It didn't work. But English people and British people and Scottish people know what I'm talking about. So it's a stereotype. What have we got here in terms of amazing facts, right? Amazing facts. This is amazing facts to do with Kings, football, and golf. I'll tell you, or else I'll keep it all to myself if we don't make it to the goal. We have left on there 6 minutes. 6 minutes is time to get there. Let's go back to breakout chat now. Let's see as well. Did anybody say a cryptocurrency in the chat box that I missed earlier on to see if they were trading? I'll just have a quick scan. A big shout out to people who are using the donate button, by the way, because I really appreciate that. Although I haven't got any since you, Boogie. So cheers to you, Boogie. You could Iono. Cheers to Ali. Cheers, Ali, for doing gifting memberships. That's nice of you. Very, very, very nice. Check out my members only streams, folks. My old stream library. Go back and look at it. If you're hearing me now, just know the stream has been uploaded. And if you're watching the stream after it's been uploaded later in a replay, then put a comment down below the video. Tell me where you're watching from, and we can celebrate. Use country flag emojis. I'll hit you back with a nice big Scotland flag emoji. Oh, I didn't notice. Didn't have my waistcoat on correctly. I'll hit you back with a Scotland emoji if you tell me where you're from. Oh, Nick G, you did it again. 5 more to go. So, for the remainder of the show, we're going to take a look at any cryptocurrencies that people suggest in the chat box that might be close to a breakout. If you're trading a cryptocurrency right now that's close to a breakout, pardon? Yeah, if you're donating, you know, then we'll give everybody a big advert for your crypto, and we'll inspire the world to pump it together. Right now, I've just got this one up. I'm not even actually necessarily wanting to pump this one. I should be more wise. I should choose one that I want to pump. If that's you out there in the audience and you think about one that you want to pump, then let me know. This, give me the deets. This here is looking okay, right? It's looking okay. We'll go down to the, shall we put a couple of horizontal lines on here just to, oops, I hit the wrong button. I hate doing that. I do that on my show all the time. There we go. Let's do this. Let's get a horizontal line from the 2 previous highs. And just add another one up here, this previous high. You boogie, you did it again. Ricardo Monteiro, say my name. If you say it like your brother, please, thank you. Ricardo Monteiro. Wait a minute. It's not Tierra though. It's Teiro. Teiro. It's actually Monteiro. Is it? Monteiro. It's the man from Monteiro. Yeah. But I'm not sure if I've got the letters correctly lined up. Yeah, right. Ricardo Monteiro, that's what you're known as colloquially, affectionately around these parts. The man from Monteiro. We all wonder what sort of hat you wear. Ricardo, AV80, buy more Lipson. But in the meantime, can you take a look at Sol USDT? Yes, pal, right? Let's see if this one's on its way to having a breakout the way that curve looked like there. Well, this is slightly different, isn't it? We've got ourselves here a really clear target, and it makes it a bit like, you know, an inverted head and shoulders. Now, this is not really the analysis that I set out to do here. I'll be fair and honest about that, but let's draw it in because it's really standing out very, 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 very clearly. So let's just do this. Now I could, of course, could have used this area just here as a little head and shoulders, right? And then said went on to make that breakout. I could combine it all together and be like, oh look, it's a complex head and shoulders. This is the sort of thing Bilkowski likes to do. I'm going to keep it simple because it's really all we need to do. Look at this downward trend that we had into this. Great. That's downward trend. Brilliant. Brilliant. And the breakout from this could come a little bit later. Now we've seen Sol has been quite positive today. And that's good because people like this helps lead the market a little bit. And then we know that there's this, which is essentially a neckline at the prior high. So if it does go into that real breakout territory, then you're looking at a move from there down to here. Let's see where it could take us. $198. Now, when you think that this is the background, and thanks so much to, who was it again? AV80, great pal for getting involved. What were we talking about? What's the backdrop of the show? Okay, backdrop of the show was quite simply this. Bitcoin chart, where is it? 109,000. That's strong, positive, very good. If we look at the kind of prior highs in here, really doing a good job challenging those, past those ones. These were lower highs and now it's up there. The big major next pivot point, 110 to 112, that's when things kind of could go a bit crazy. If we get there, there's a little bit of a pullback so far. If you're watching this later on, we could be back in here. Plenty of fair value gaps, plenty of areas that remain to be tested. You could easily see it come all the way back down to 106,000, so on, just to be really organic about this. Like some people call it organic, whatever. Rational, another reason, just for rational. Just to come in and test that area totally makes sense, even back down to our line. We've got the 1 hour time frame, folks, as well, with my lovely system of lines here. But if we do go up towards the next one, it takes us up to 112. So that's the point. And if that's happening while this is happening, this drop down in Bitcoin dominance, which is taking us down to another pivot that could give us a breakout, just like those topside ones. You see a breakout there, takes us down a couple of percent. We see this as a top overall, if it happens to be, doesn't necessarily, it's not that dissimilar to the Bitcoin top so far, so that could, but if that was then coming down to these next major levels, could be alt season territory. That's just the small time frame. But you start doing that, it puts you into contention for changing this trend around, where you could get big moves, big moves, and that would be proper alt season. I don't want to hype things up too much, right? But that's the background. If Bitcoin's staying high and Bitcoin dominance is dropping, and then you bring up the Sol USDT chart and you say, we could get a move which is like a 25% rise, 25%, way more than Bitcoin could do. If Bitcoin's able to get up to 112,000, go up an extra 3, 4, 5%, then Sol could end up going up an extra 25%, which would be the Bitcoin dominance shrinking down, which would then cascade and cause way more. And because this one likes to lead markets these days, it's an important one. It's a good shout out from the audience. Thanks for that. Oh, we made the goal. Goal! And we get to celebrate. Lipson's above $1. Yes! We've been trying so goddamn much. It takes a lot, folks. You have to be strong. You have to be really strong. Put all these voices from outside said, oh, don't do that. Oh, the risk. Oh, I'm going to sell my shares. Oh, I'm going to. But we didn't. And the price came up to here, and it's rewarding us, and it's so good, and it's only just the beginning. See if this goes up to $137. That's a brain melting. I don't even know what I'd be thinking. You're looking at things like those January 2027 calls back in the green for most people probably that got them in the last several months. Like, that's brilliant. They were cheap. They were cheap as chips. They're still their week. You've got the actual price above $1. It's a small thing, but it matters a lot. Like, we've been looking for it and celebrating, wanting it to happen. And now it has happened. We get to celebrate together. I'm so pleased. I'm proud of all of you as well. Proud of all of you. Proud of us. We did it as a team, you know. We represent a massive chunk of the stockholder ownership of this thing. So suddenly we all decided to dump it, and the market dumps, right? So when prices have gone up, it means that we didn't dump it. And you know, there's people here that own far more shares than John Sabino. He's the CEO, you know, and he gets paid an awful lot of them in shares. He got given 1 million of them when he got given the job, or 1.5 million of them, or whatever. I don't know, a lot. He got given a lot. I can't remember the numbers there. But you know, there's individuals in the community that own more than that, and then when you add it all up, like, we own so much of the company together. So like, why can we not celebrate? Why can we not go into the office and look around and be like, touching everything, touching it? Like, why are you touching that surface, sir? And you just look, because I know that this table in just a couple of years or a couple of months, any time, who knows when, this little surface, this table, to you it's just a normal table, but to me, this is going to be worth millions of dollars. Look at this whole building. Look at this. Go up to the staff members. Look at your face. You're so lovely. You think you're only worth $33,000 a year, but to me, you're going to be worth millions. That's also not social advice. I don't recommend anybody actually does that, because they might get themselves in a spot of hot water. But that's the feeling, right? That's the feeling that we've got, and we can celebrate it. We can let ourselves celebrate it, because we deserve to. We deserve to celebrate these things from time to time. So you can see why, anyway, folks that are looking at cryptocurrency stuff, what I'm looking at, talking about it in a lot more detail in the paid side Bitcoin room. Just check it out. Got a really good little bit of education in there. It's kind of, you know, cut above stuff, right? Because I do cut above stuff. So it's top level, top tier crap. You really want to read it. If you don't, then you miss out. But I mean, I've already done the work. I'm not going to chase you. So check it out, right? But then LivePerson. So let me celebrate a couple of little things. For example, and Justin already did this with me. I was looking at this, like the chart. I said it ages ago, right? Ages ago. Look at that there. 1, 1, 1. What do you see on the chart here? Let's just have a quick look down here, right? In this whole area, there's one price written on the chart, and I'm sitting there and saying, I don't know. And then look, there's another price written on the chart. What is it? 1, 1, 1. And targeting that for ages, right there, right on my chart, and it hit it today. Now, I didn't sell it, right? I didn't sell it at that price. I'm actually hoping to see it go up to like 130, stuff like that. However, we had it on our charts, and it went there, and it's not the first time. You know, people are tuning in. It's not the first time. I do this all the time. I'm doing it together with people, with the prices written on the charts for months and months and months. All this laid out. I've had equal low in my chart for weeks and weeks, you know, and it came in and it did it. I had this before it did this, right? I wrote equal low at the time that I wrote lower high. And then it's done it, you know, and you're sitting there with it on your screen week after week. I only do weekly shows, you know, and I'm talking about this stuff, and it's there week after week, and it hits it. Of course, I feel great about it. Why wouldn't I feel great about it? I love helping people. I mean, I made so many people very, very much money. Not just in this, but in everything that I talk about. So it's great to be here. It's great to be celebrating. Great to be with friends, family, co-workers, colleagues. We're all in this together, right? You loving it too? Hope you're loving it. Hope you are loving it, right? And celebrating as well. Celebrate it. Even if your average entry price is above this. I mean, the fact of the matter is the prices have come up an awful lot. They've come up an awful lot. You could have been sat here in 21st of May. The weather's good. It's coming up to summertime. You're thinking things are only going to get better, right? But your psychology might have been getting crushed back then with the prices pushing back down into the 60-cent region. Oh, it's tough, right? It's tough, you know. Here we are. Prices are up. Like, I mean, who wants to do the maths on that? They're up 50 cents. It's miles. So much better. You know, so much better. So, like, I also know that there'll be, like, people out there who are just, like, feeling positive about stuff. I mean, there's things like, I can remember some people really like this stock, GameStop, for instance. And over here, back in May, right, the prices of this were up there at $35. And this is May 28th of May, right? And I go back to LPSN, and I look down here at this low, which was the 21st of May. And between that week and the next week, how do you think the certain people felt in the world, right? And then how do you think that that makes me feel, knowing the circumstances around us? Then fast forward to where we are now, and it's like a lot of people in the world, you know, have seen this happen where it went from 35 all the way down to 21. And meanwhile, this has gone up from 64 something to 114. You know, it's been a good couple of months, folks, right? It's been a good couple of months for small communities, which, like stocks, where if you asked any of us and they said, why do you like it? We would say, I just like the stock, I just like the industry, I just like the products, I just like the future of where it's going, I just like the management practices of the current board. I actually just like a lot of reasons about this stock. It's not just that I just like the stock, there's a lot of things I actually like about the stock. Lots of them. And the price has gone up, which is also a pretty good reason to be liking it. So yeah, I like this. I like it, right? I like it. I just like it. Last couple of months have been pretty good, I think. And we could be in for more, so it's great to celebrate that with people. And we did it. We did it together. We did it together. We did it together. And we're going to keep doing it, right? And the funny thing is, you know, this is us having this conversation at that price. What if this time next year, right? What if this time next year the prices are $10? What if this time next year the prices were at $10? You know, will we look back and think about how hard we celebrated when prices were $1 and feel good about ourselves when it hits $10? I think so. I think we'll be pretty having a good time. I think we'll probably be having a pretty good time if that happened. Can't speak for everyone. Oh, we got a new Stream King. No, I don't know. We've not got a new Stream King, but we do have the top donator of today's show. And you are the individual top donator on individual top donations. Has to be a big shout out to Jay Hunter. You've been the Stream King in the past. But are you the Stream King in today's show? You're just catching up with the show. Thanks so much, Rocky. Jay Hunter, you might not even be seeing me say this live. Maybe by the time it gets ready to be live, you've reclaimed the Stream King chat. But have we got another one? Was Luke Spears, who did a couple, or Sunny Sun, who did a couple earlier on, or AV80, who did a couple, or L. Baker Matthews, perhaps, is leading the charge. It's hard to know. I think possibly we might have Luke Spears as the Stream King today. I'm not sure. Kind of need my mods if you've been really. I don't want to seem ungrateful or ingratitude, whatever. It's just difficult. Queen Genie might be Stream Queen. Oh, Queen Genie, are you Stream Queen? Does somebody in the chat know? If you could let me know so I could just not get it wrong. That's all it is. I'd appreciate it. But what we're celebrating is Lipson being above $1. Why? Because it means so much to us, right? It means so much to us. So it's not just a silly phrase. What it means is there's a possibility of defeating this delisted noise. That's good, fundamentally. Great, positive story. There's a price target at 130 to 135, and we're so much closer to getting there than we were just a month ago. So much closer. What was once unbelievable is now just over the horizon, which is a fun place to be. And I tell you what, if you don't celebrate the good times when you're having them, then ain't nobody going to celebrate them for you. And that's the bottom line. And we should definitely all dive in and enjoy that as much as we can. The Discord is supposed to be on my screen right now. It's not showing up. Here it is. It's the Discord community, and you're invited to be a part of that. We love all of the members, all of them. We love them very much. And we can see chat in here in the GameStop room. Sorry, wrong room. That's just in the wrong room earlier. Lipson. In the Lipson room here. A little bit of chat here. Yeah, there was this here about the angry beaver. That was funny reading that. But there was this. Shout out to Yakuti Otoko here, you boogie in the chat, was having a chat with Kitties Never Die, having put on the average VWAP indicator on the chart, and you can see there's a low, like there's a red line running across the prices there. This one at the bottom starts just there. That represents the average price, kind of, based on the volume that was traded in that session, what the average price would be. You know, trying to work it out to the best of our abilities, what the average would be if you'd bought the same amount every day at that average price. And that was your average. So that's a pretty cool line, because it shows you that somebody who'd bought it on average every day from the lows is currently in the green for one. That's the first thing it shows you, because right here at the edge on the right hand side, the prices are just above that red line. The next thing it shows you is that in the past, when the prices have pushed above that line, they've really gone on to try higher. They really have. They've gone on to try higher. And the third thing about this is, if we just look at the daily time frame and just consider how there was a high and we're above it. But the bigger story is, of course, the previous couple of highs. So if I just bring on the browser again real quick. Oh, we've got a fight for Stream King. That's cool. Right, that's cool. So with this here, right? So there was the thing you can see at the bottom is, if you'd have drawn this line in from the lows, it would have been down here, and it went up and whatever. And then when the prices broke through it at this point, they shot up loads. And then the thing came up here, and of course when prices went down below it at this point, they did drop down a bunch. And then over here, when prices went above it, they shot up loads at this point here. So on, and now the price of that thing is around about there. So if I just bring up the Discord again so you can see it now that I've explained that. Prices shot up, came back down, and shot up. So now that it's above it, wouldn't it be nice if history repeated itself and it shot up and higher high, higher high. So let me just show that again, because I've explained this on the remarkable notes already today. I'll just do it one last time here for folks. High, higher high, right? Low, higher low, okay, sort of thing. If we can actually get into this uptrend again, then you could be looking up towards the big target that we've spoken about, of course, in the past, where we had this previous gap on the charts, you know, and that's of course 270, and that being, you know, 270% above the current prices is like outside the scope of the chat for the channel kind of today, slightly, sort of. It's a hell of a lot closer than $137 though, so I'll give it that, and I'll mention that that would be the next target if we can bust past the prior highs, you know, but that's getting ahead of things. But let's just have a one last look at the picture that you Boogie in the chat here with us shared on Discord, which is the low, the higher high, like the higher high here. And so if we just call this a low and this a high and this a higher low, and there was a higher high that came in after, then that could take the prices up towards this little bit here where we had that gap. Could test that at 270. Just there. Could happen. And with that bombshell, reminding folks, of course, that smart traders, the best traders, are members of this Discord, which you can get access to by using the link in my description for free. For free. Get access to that. The best traders are in there. That's a reminder to everybody in my chat box right now to go and be a part of that. And if you're already a member, send a message in there. I'd love to catch up. And this has been a show where I've explained certain things. We've had a great chat about LivePerson, celebrated being above $1, and looked at the next price points to where it could go to. We explained where the prices would push to even beyond there, up towards a previous gap. We've looked at the anchored VWAP that was shared in the Discord. We did lots of our own technical analysis as well. And that's all been supplemented with Breakout Watch on cryptos, chatting about how a lot of cryptos are near their previous highs with a lot of blue sky above them that they could rocket into. I was showing you the curve chart, but we had a suggestion from the audience to look at Sol, and what we found was a massive inverted head and shoulders, and that could take the prices all the way up to $200. What we're looking to see happen is, of course, this dynamic playing out between Bitcoin dominance, the Bitcoin price, the altcoins, explained in today's show in great detail, and we've had fun calling it Breakout Watch, but we were using the 4-hour time frame, and that's a reminder to folks, because that 4-hour time frame takes quite a while to actually show those results. So no matter when you're watching this show, today, tomorrow, and over the course of the next week, take a look to those prior highs on your cryptocurrency charts and chat amongst each other in the cryptocurrency room in the Discord and reach out and say hello to me. My name's Rocky Outcrop. My brother's TradeSpot. He's got a great channel on YouTube. Check it out. Link in the description of this video, as well as they are in all my videos, and I'll catch you all next time. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much to the Queen Genie, who I think has just got she's just got the queen thing. What's your Discord username, Queen Genie? Give you the queen role here. Sorry, got Jimmy walking past me here because we're here to celebrate. We're to celebrate the Parkside boys, right? Parkside boys. Parkside boys. You're all Parkside boys. Thanks so much. Pardon? Oh, we'll be back. We'll be back with a hat in just a split second. I'm sure about it, so we can celebrate Parkside boys, because the Parkside boys team is here. You're a Parkside boy. Queen Genie's a Parkside boy. This guy here's a Parkside boy. I'm a Parkside boy. Jamie's looking for hats. He can't find hats.
I can find a hat.
He found a hat. He found a hat. Parkside boys. Parkside boys. Parkside boys. Parkside boys. Parkside boys.